Okay. So I would share a nectar drop from Srila Prabhupada, where he's sharing that the difference between the conditioned soul and liberated soul is that a conditioned soul is imperfect in four ways. A conditioned soul is sure to commit mistake. A conditioned soul is an illusion. A conditioned soul has the tendency for cheating others, and a conditioned soul has got his senses imperfect senses. Therefore, knowledge should be taken from a liberated soul. So, even in Chaitanya Charitamrita, chapter 17, verse 186, Mahaprabhu is recommending something similar. The verse is like this: Tarko pratishtha shrutaya vibhinna nasa vrishir yasya matam na bhinnam dharmasya tattvam nihitam guhayam mahajano yena gata sapantha. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued, dry arguments are inconclusive. A great personality whose opinion does not differ from others is not considered a great sage. Simply by studying the Vedas, which are variegated, one cannot come to the right path by which religious principles are understood. The solid truth of religious principles is hidden in the heart of an unadulterated, self-realized person. So consequently, as the Shastras confirm, one should accept whatever progressive path the Mahajanas advocate. So we should accept the instructions of Mahajanas and learn from them. Yeah, if you want to add something, Prabhuji.
Yeah, there is book Bhagavat and there is person Bhagavat. So person Bhagavat leads his life in accordance with the book Bhagavat. And so sometimes the person Bhagavat is more important than the book Bhagavat, because the book Bhagavat cannot twist our ear, but the person Bhagavat can twist our ear when when we are going astray. So that's of course the association of devotees is the key, an association of pure devotees. So that's the key, because they carry Krishna in their heart and they are free from all material desires. So we have to find pure devotees and associate with them, hear from them, or those who are repeating what the pure devotees are saying. That's also okay. Um, but we are not perfect, so we are trying. But we have to repeat what we have heard from Srila Prabhupada. So then, at least Prabhupada also said, and then we are not opposed to the principles of pure devotional service. So we may not be able to implement it immediately, but since we are not opposed and we want to follow, so in due course of time, um, everybody will become pure devotee. So if you're not opposed and you sincerely trying, then one will become pure devotee also. So that's how devotee is also like a postman. He delivers the letter as is. So Prabhupada said that they told him, you've done a miracle. He said, I have not done any miracle. I've just repeated what I've heard from my Guru Maharaj. And his Guru Maharaj heard what he heard from his Guru Maharaj. So without any alteration, addition, we can just repeat. And yeah, like that. So association with pure devotees is the key for success. Okay, anything else? Anybody else like to say anything? Okay, so we'll read Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, we are on third canto, chapter 29, verse 33, explanation of devotional service by Lord Kapila. Tasman mai arpita shesha kriya arthatma nirantara mai arpitatmanah pumso mai sanyasta karmanah न पश्यामि परम भूतम अकर्तु samadarshanath. Therefore, I do not find a greater person than he who has no interest outside of mine, and who therefore engages and dedicates his activities and all his life, everything unto me without cessation. So, how Brahmana, the previous verse it describes, the Brahmana who knows the purports of Vedas uh, and who can dissipate all doubts is better than one who follows just the Varnashram. And better than him is one who strictly follows the Brahmanical principles. So one who knows the purports of Vedas and who can dissipate all doubts. Better than that person is one who follows the Brahmanical principles. Better than that is one who is liberated from all material contamination. Better than them is that person is a pure devotee. And so this verse is saying, yes, this pure devotee is the best because he has no interest outside of mine, and he dedicates all his life, his activities, his everything without interruption, without any cessation. So, this pure devotee is very rare. One who has dedicated everything, his mind, his words, his activities, his wealth, his intelligence, everything in the service of the Lord. And he doesn't have any possessions for himself. I mean, yeah, kind of nirmama, or at least the mentality that everything belongs to Krishna, and he uses also everything in Krishna's service. So Prabhupada said sometimes Brahmanas always remain poor because whenever they get some donation, they will immediately spend it for Krishna. They are not thinking, okay, next tomorrow what I will eat, how will I? He gets donation, he depends on Krishna in this way. So,
So I
and
was hearing the Prabhupada, and sorry, Tamal Krishna Maharaj was saying, I think this was what Srila Prabhupada said. A brahmachari, all his possessions should be able to be tied in a small piece of cloth and, attached to that danda, like that stick, right? That brahmachari, I mean, it's not the sannyasi danda, but like a little stick. And that's it. So it should just, all his possessions should come within that little portly type of thing. So
yeah, very renounced. The three ashramas are meant for renunciation. 75% of life is meant for renunciation. So then we become attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Not necessarily that renounced people are attached, but renunciation helps. So, okay. So, purport. And ultimately, we have to renounce our false ego. That's the main thing. That I am the controller, I am the proprietor, I am the enjoyer. I am controlled, I am not the controller. So, and we know that, right, from our experience. We are trying to control, but many things are not beyond our control. Some control we have a little bit, but many things are beyond our control. So, experience also teaches that. Like our body, right? Whatever is going on in the body is beyond my control. When I can go to the doctor and doctor may do some therapy and medicine like that, but only to certain degree. Sometimes some diseases have no cure. So, in this verse, the word Samadarshanath means that one no longer has any separate interest. The devotee's interest and the Supreme Personality of God, its interest are one. Means how the Lord sees Samadarshan means equal in vision. Sama means equal. Equal in vision means however the Lord sees, that's how the devotee sees. So that's the, like in a company, how the company's mission statement is, that's what the employee's mission statement is. It's not different. For example, Lord Chaitanya, in the role of a devotee, also preached the same philosophy. He preached that Krishna is the worshipable Lord. Just 1 minute. प्रभु मैं कॉल पे हूँ, मैं आपको कॉल करूँ थोड़ी देर में.
ठीक है, वो जो ना मैं टेक्स्ट पे जाऊँ उसको कंफर्म करो जल्दी.
ओके मैं कॉल करूँ. Okay, so for example, Lord Chaitanya, in the role of a devotee, also preached the same philosophy. He preached that Krishna is the worshipable Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and that the interest of his pure devotee is the same as his own. So, what is the interest of the Lord? That we connect with him in love. We connect to him. He wants to have a loving relationship with us. And the devotee also wants to have a loving relationship with the Lord. So, sometimes, and Krishna wants to deliver everybody. So the devotee's interest is also that, to deliver the conditioned souls. That's Krishna's interest. That's why he comes. So sometimes Mayavadi philosophers, due to a poor fund of knowledge, define the word Samadarshanath to mean that a devotee should see himself as one with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is foolishness. So we don't lose our identity. Mayavadis, they interpret Samadarshanath means he should see that he is equal to the Supreme Lord. So Prabhupada is saying this is foolishness. When one thinks himself one with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there is no question of serving him. When there is service, there must be a master. Three things must be present for there to be the service. For there to be service, the master, servant, and the service. Here it is clearly stated that he who has dedicated his life, all his activities, his mind, and his soul, everything for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord is considered to be the greatest person. The word akartuha means without any sense of proprietorship. Akartuhu. Everyone wants to act as the proprietor of his actions so that he can enjoy the result. A devotee, however, has no such desire. He acts because the personality of Godhead wants him to act in a particular way. So in material world, everybody is acting for their own sense gratification. We are going here and there, so many things. So traveling, this, that, all for our own sense gratification. And we are working to get money for our own sense gratification. So all our actions are propelled by this desire that I want to enjoy, and that's why we are doing whatever we are doing. But devotees' actions are fueled by the desire to how Krishna wants him to act for his enjoyment, like that. So, like Prabhupada told Brahmananda, you should go to Pakistan. Somebody told Prabhupada, oh, you're not preaching in Muslim countries. How about Pakistan? And Prabhupada told Brahmananda, you should go to Pakistan and preach. And Brahmananda Prabhu went to Pakistan. He sent his disciples to UK to preach. Malti Prabhu, Shyam Sundar, Yamuna Mataji, and Gurudas Prabhu, and Mukunda and Janaki. So they all went. So this is how surrendered. Prabhupada's spiritual master told him, you go to the West and preach. And he went. So he came to the West. So like that, they are surrendered. However, of course, the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is received with the pure devotees of the Lord. And whatever they say, they do. And Krishna also directly gives the order in the Bhagavad Gita. He has no personal motive. Means not considering whether it's profitable for me or not, whether I'll get happiness or not. It's very, yeah. So that's the difference between spiritual and material. When Lord Chaitanya preached Krishna consciousness, it was not with the purpose that people would call him Krishna, the Supreme Personality of God. Rather, he preached that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and should be worshipped as such. Vrindavan Prabhu was here and he was saying that sometimes we don't want to preach Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because then everybody will worship Krishna. Then what about me? So who will worship me? Who will glorify me? So that is envy. If we don't preach that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we should surrender to him. That means that there is some envy. If we know that and if we don't preach. A devotee who is the most confidential servant of the Lord never does anything for his personal account, but does everything for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. And in Krishna's satisfaction lies his satisfaction and his happiness. In Krishna's happiness lies my happiness. That's a pure devotee. It is clearly stated, and in that way, the devotee also experiences happiness because he is part and parcel of the Supreme. When the whole is satisfied or the whole is happy by service, then the part is also satisfied. So it is not that one will be deprived of happiness if they think of Krishna's happiness. No, because the part is also, when Krishna's satisfaction is there, then the part is also. We have yathataror mula nishichanena tripyanti tatskanda bhujo pashaka pranopahara yathendriyanam tathaiva sarvaranam achyutijya. By worshipping Achyuta, Achyutaijya, then all the demigods are satisfied, just as by giving water to the root of the tree, then all the parts of the tree are nourished, or by feeding the stomach, all the limbs of the body are nourished. So we are part, demigods, and also we are also parts. Demigods are jiva tattvas. They are also jivas. We are also jivas. And so everybody is satisfied. It is also stated, Mai arpitat manaha. He gives his mind unto me. Mai sanyasta karmana. The devotee works, but he works for the Supreme. It is also stated, Mai arpita manaha. He gives his mind unto me. These are the qualifications of a devotee, who according to the verse is accepted as the highest of all human beings. So to give mind is the most difficult thing. We give mind when there is, but it should start with like doing some physical activity, then slowly bringing the mind. Either way, or you first bring the mind and then do the physical activity. That's better. But to bring the mind is difficult. So at least, we start the activity, like chanting, right? We start chanting and then the mind gets pulled in. Because this mantra is so powerful. It's Krishna himself. So
And Prabhuji, I don't know I forgot which part, 9.33 also, he says that people who worship demigod actually worshipping me, but in the wrong way. It mentions in the wrong way.
avidipurvakam. Yepi anya devata bhakta. What is that verse? Anya devata. 923. Yepi anya devata bhakta yajante shraddhayanvitah tepi mameva kaunteya yajanti aviti purvakam. 923, not 933. Anya devata bhakta, those who are devotees of other demigods and they worship with faith. They also worship me, but they do in a wrong way. Worship them with actually worship only me, O son of Kunti, but they do so in a wrong way. It's like Prabhupada said that, when you have to feed food to your body, it should go through the mouth. You can't put it in some other hole, in the ear or the eyes. They are also holes, nose. So, when we have to worship, then we have to worship the Supreme Lord. Sometimes under emergency, then there is some feeding tube that goes they make a hole through the neck or something like that, then it directly goes because the person can't eat. So that's not the actual way. So he says like that someplace. So when we have to worship, the worship should be directed to Supreme Lord and then it distributes to everybody else. So, okay, so these are the qualifications according to this verse, except as the. So to give your mind, body, words, intelligence, your wealth, prana, artha, dhiya, vacha, shreya, acharanam, sada, life, our money, artha. First you give your life. If you can't give your life, give money. Then if you can't give your money also, at least your intelligence on how to spread Krishna consciousness. Like that, vachaha is words. Then speak about Krishna. So, of course, when you give your life, then you give everything. That's Atmanivedanam, means you give everything to Krishna. Then sometimes there is fear. So Krishna says, don't worry, I will take care of you. So that has to be a deep-rooted faith that Krishna will take care of me. And Krishna is for real. So that, when you think Krishna is for real and you understand his position, then you surrender to Krishna. Then you say, yes, I will engage in your service. So BG 10.7, Krishna is saying, Bhagavad Gita, Etam vibhutim yogam cha mama yo veti tatvataha so avikalpena yogena yujyate natra sanshaya, doubt. Sanshaya means doubt. Natra sanshaya, there is no doubt. So after describing his opulences in the 10th chapter, he's describing, or in the previous chapters also he's described some opulences. So then he's saying, those who's convinced about my opulence and mystic power engages in an unalloyed devotional service. Of this there is no doubt. Sometimes we think, how can one person have so much power? Is this possible? Everything is coming from him. But the more we are convinced that Krishna is God, then we will engage in his unalloyed devotional service. And he is capable of taking care of me more than I can take care of myself. So then we give ourselves to such a person, because he can take care of me. He is the Supreme Lord. It's not a big thing. He's taking care of trillions of living entities. So, Eko Bahunam Yo Vidadati Kaman. Who is supplying all this? Who is fulfilling the desires? How is it that for every desire that we have, there is a fulfillment of the desire in nature? Who has made this arrangement? We are hungry, there is food. We are thirsty, there is water. We have the sex, then there's the opposite gender, sex drive. How is it like that? That everything is provided for by Krishna. Means it's not just a coincidence. There is intelligence, and He has provided for everybody. So, to fulfill all the material desires of the living entity, He has created this material world. And He is maintaining us with the sun. He's created the sun. And everything is coming from Krishna. So, okay, so like that we can convince ourselves that there is God, without which I can never thrive. Of course, then there is nothing but God, right? We are also part of God. There is nothing but God and His energy. Sarvam khalvam idam brahma. Everything is Brahman, which is correct because it is Krishna's energy. And energy and energetic are non-different. So, everything is Krishna's energy. Okay, any comments anybody has? Mane saitani bhutani pranamed bahumanayan ishvaro jiva kalaya pravishto bhagavaniti. Such a perfect devotee means who has no interest outside of Krishna and who dedicates everything, his activities and his life, to the service of the Lord without cessation. Such a perfect devotee offers respect to every living entity because he is under the firm conviction that the Supreme Personality of Godhead has entered the body of every living entity as the super soul or controller. So he respects everyone because Paramatma is there in the heart. Krishna's plenary expansion, Paramatma, has entered the heart of every living being. So he offers respect to the Paramatma in that heart of that person. A perfect devotee. Of course, we don't see, when we see somebody, we see only on the basis of their externals. But the pure devotee sees, oh, here is another jiva, here is another part and parcel of Supreme Personality of Godhead. Along with him is Paramatma. And he has got a body by his karma. So when we see in material consciousness, we see based on the body and externally. This person is very beautiful, this person is not beautiful, this person is like this, like that, this color skin, that color skin. And so, this is just the outer covering. Seeing everybody based on their clothes they are wearing. What the dress is to the body is what the body is to the soul. So like that, our soul just vashanchi jirnani yatha vihaya navani grinati naroparani tatha vihaya sharirani jirnani anyati sanyati navani dehi. Krishna is saying this in the second chapter. So this is just a dress we are wearing. And as we discard an old dress, tatha vihaya sharirani jirnani. Vihaya means to give up. As one discards an old dress, similarly the soul discards an old body. Jirnani, it's old. To take another body. So our body will be gone one day. Become ashes, stool or earth. But we will still exist. So the eternality of the soul. A perfect devotee, as described above, does not make the mistake of thinking that because the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as Paramatma, has entered into the body of every living entity has become the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is foolishness. Prabhupada is constantly speaking about this because this philosophy is very prevalent, that Atma so Paramatma. Atma and Paramatma are same. There is no difference. Suppose a person enters into a room, then that does not mean that the room has become that person. Similarly, that the Supreme Lord has entered into 8,400,000 species, particular types of material bodies, does not mean that each of these bodies has become the Supreme Lord. Because the Supreme Lord is present, however, a pure devotee accepts each body as the temple of the Lord. And since the devotee offers respects to such temples in full knowledge, he gives respect to every living entity in relationship with the Lord. Mayavadi philosophers wrongly think that because the Supreme Person has entered the body of a poor man, the Supreme Lord has become Daridra Narayan. So Narayan has become poor because now he is living in a poor body, or poor Narayan. These are all blasphemous statements of atheists and non-devotees. Okay, next verse. Bhakti Yogasya Yogasya. Yeah, what is you want to
So
read?
the previous verse is talking about Uttam Adhikari, right, Prabhu? Those who are, as the verse says that the most advanced devotee sees everything within the most advanced devotee sees within everything the soul of all souls, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. Consequently, he sees systematically everything in relation to the Supreme Lord and understand that everything that exists is eternally situated within the Lord, like Pandita Samadarshina, right? He see everyone as part and parcel of Krishna. So this is a quality of a Uttamadhikari. Am I audible, Prabhu?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's the definition of.
Yeah, that reminds me this verse, so I just posted here.
Right. Thank you. That doesn't mean Prabhupada says we go and embrace the tiger. Right? Like he says, like, yeah, it's tiger is, but yeah, he is affected by he has the modes of nature. So, similarly, that's why Uttam Adhikari comes to Madhyam Adhikari to preach. So, I think this is in that line, right? Ishwareta Dadineshu Balisheshu Dvishashtucha. Is that the verses around this verse? Bhagavata Uttama.
That's right. That's right, Prabhuji.
Correct. This is Uttama, definition of Uttama Bhakta.
Yeah, Balashesh. That is Ishwartat Adinesh. That is Madhyamadhikari. Balisheshu Dvishtastu. Yeah.
Prema Maitri Kripopeksha Ya Karoti Samadhyama.
Samadhyama. Yeah.
Okay. Bhakti Yogasya Yogasya Maya Manavya Udiritaha Yayor Ekad Tarneva Purusha Purusham Rajet. My dear mother or daughter of Manu, a devotee who applies the science of devotional service and mystic yoga in this way can achieve the abode of the Supreme Person simply by that devotional service. So, by devotional service, by practicing devotional service, then we will go back to the Supreme abode of the Supreme Person. Herein, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Kapila Dev, perfectly explains that the mystic yoga system, consisting of 8 different kinds of yoga activities, has to be performed with the aim of coming to the perfectional stage of Bhakti Yoga. So, Ashtanga Yoga should result in pure Bhakti Yoga. In the Yoga ladder, you have Ashtanga Yoga, and above that is Bhakti Yoga. It is not acceptable for one to be satisfied simply by practicing the sitting postures and thinking himself complete. By meditation, one must attain the stage of devotional service. Means love for the Supreme Lord must awaken. As previously described, a yogi is advised to meditate on the form of Lord Vishnu from point to point, from the ankles to the legs, to the knees, to the thighs, to the chest, to the neck, and in this way gradually up to the face and then to the ornaments. There is no question of impersonal meditation. Yogina api sarvesham madgatena antaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yomam samayukta tamamata. Krishna is saying, meditate on me, not on impersonal. Man mana bhava mad bhakto, always think of me. And when we have beautiful deities and all the beautiful pictures which depict Krishna's pastimes, so then we can meditate on those pastimes and those pictures which depict those pastimes. So why we have to blank our mind and meditate on nothing. That's what Prabhupada. There is no question of impersonal meditation. When by meditation on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in all detail, one comes to the point of love of God, that is the point of Bhakti Yoga. And at that point, he must actually render service to the Lord out of transcendental love. So by meditating on the Supreme Lord, one comes to the point of loving the Lord. And then you want to do something for the Lord. You want to give something to the Lord. So Prabhupada translated devotion as devotional service, right? Give something. That is give and take in love. I give you some gift and you give me some gift. Dadati pratigrinati guhyamakyati prichati bhungte bhojayate seva shakti priti lakshana. Yeah, it's like there is some service. Like some of you are making garlands, right, in the temple. Something you do for the Lord. Somebody is washing the pots, something like that. Somebody is helping in cooking. Somebody is doing book distribution to spread the glories of the Lord. So some service like that, some practical service has to be there when there is love. Means with our body. Of course, the elevated devotees, they do manasa seva. That is also accepted, but that's a very high platform, the manasa seva. And Prabhupada wanted to benefit others also. That's why he established ISKCON. Otherwise, everybody can go to Vrindavan and just do their Nirjan Bhajan. That's not the purpose. Our purpose is to share Prabhupada's compassion with others in the form of his books, in the form of the deities that Prabhupada established and everything, and the service, like that. So here it is clearly stated, Purusha Purusham Vrajit. The Purusha, the living entity, goes to the Supreme Person. So going back to Godhead, all our problems are solved, no death, no disease, no old age, no struggle, only happy life. Or if you become like that here, then also the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the living entity are qualitatively one. Both are defined as Purusha. The quality of Purusha exists both in the Supreme Godhead and in the living entity. Purusha means enjoyer. And the spirit of enjoyment is present in both the living entity and the Supreme Lord. Because we are part, so whatever Krishna has, we also have. The difference is that the quantity of enjoyment is not equal. The living entity cannot experience the same quantity of enjoyment as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. An analogy may be made with a rich man and a poor man. The propensity for enjoyment is present in both. But the poor man cannot enjoy in the same quantity as the rich man. When the poor man dovetails his desires with those of the rich man, however, and when there is cooperation between the poor man and the rich man, or between the big and the small man, then the enjoyment is shared equally. That is like Bhakti Yoga. So we also start enjoying like the Lord when we connect with the Lord, when there is cooperation. Thus, like the poor man and rich man cooperate, then the poor man also enjoys. Because the rich man is willing to share. Krishna is willing to share his opulences and everything with us. Just like we are giving the example that, a father buys the house and all the children say, oh, this is my room, this is my room. And the father feels very happy. He wants to share with his family, with his children, like that. So Krishna also wants to share with all of us his opulences. Purusha Purusham Vrajit. When the living entity enters into the kingdom of God and cooperates with the Supreme Lord by giving him enjoyment, he enjoys the same facility or the same amount of pleasure as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or even more pleasure. Like Radharani says, Krishna says, oh, what is she experiencing? So bhakti gives bhaktas even so much pleasure that the Bhagwan wonders, what is Bhakta enjoying? On the other hand, when the living entity wants to enjoy by imitating the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his desire is called Maya, and it puts him in the material atmosphere. A living entity who wants to enjoy on his personal account and not cooperate with the Supreme Lord is engaged in materialistic life. As soon as he dovetails his enjoyment with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is engaged in spiritual life. An example may be cited here. The different limbs of the body cannot enjoy life independently. They must cooperate with the whole body and supply food to the stomach. In so doing, all different parts of the body enjoy equally in cooperation with the whole body. That is the philosophy of Achintya Bheda Abhed, simultaneous oneness and difference. Prabhupada told this story many times, right? If the hand picks up the food and says, why should I give the stomach? It is I picked up the food. Why should I supply it to the stomach? So that's what material consciousness is. When we say, I worked for it, why should I give my fruits of work for Krishna? I worked for it. Why should I part for Krishna's enjoyment? That's material consciousness. So then what will happen? The hand will also become weak because it's not feeding the stomach. That's why even despite all the opulences in countries like America, there is so much dissatisfaction and anxiety because not giving to Krishna. That is the philosophy of Achintya Bheda Bhed, simultaneous oneness and difference. The living entity cannot enjoy life in opposition to the Supreme Lord. He has to dovetail his activities with the Lord by practicing Bhakti Yoga. It is said herein that one can approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead by either the Yoga process or the Bhakti Yoga process. This indicates that factually there is no difference between Yoga and Bhakti Yoga, because the target of both is Vishnu. In the modern age, however, a yoga process has been manufactured which aims at something void and impersonal. Actually, yoga means meditation on the form of the Lord, Vishnu. If the yoga practice is actually performed according to the standard direction, there is no difference between yoga and Bhakti Yoga. So yoga means connection. And the purpose of yoga is to meditate on Supreme Lord. Okay, so next verse. You heard this. Etad bhagavato rupam brahmana paramatmanah param pradhanam purusham devam karma vicheshtitam. This Purusha, whom the individual soul must approach, is the eternal form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is known as Brahman and Paramatma. He is the transcendental chief personality and his activities are all spiritual. Nitya Nityanam Chetnas Chetnanam Eko Bahunam Yogitadadi. He is the transcendental chief personality. So there is one who is supplying the needs of others. We are all living entities. There are infinite number of living entities. But amongst all these living entities, there is one living entity. Eternal living. We are all eternal living entities. And among this, there is one who is fulfilling the needs or the desires of everyone. And that is God. So we are able to fulfill our desires because God is allowing us to fulfill our desires. God has made the arrangement. He has given us this body to enjoy because we want to enjoy separately from Him. So He has given us His body and also given us the illusion to enjoy in this material existence. So everything arrangement has been made by the Lord. According to what we want, He is ready. Krishna is like a desire tree. Whatever you want to enjoy, however you want to enjoy, Krishna says, okay, here is. He doesn't force Himself on us. So we can keep enjoying. Like in heavenly planets, there is so much enjoyment, so much enjoyment. What is the enjoyment here? Nothing. Material enjoyment in heavenly planets is so much. So, but still they are also in anxiety because so although we want to enjoy eternally and without any hindrance, without any obstacles. Krishna has made this world in such a way that there are so many obstacles to our enjoyment. Obstruction, obstacles, because he wants us to return to him. Then we may say, well, he's forcing us to return to him by putting obstacles on our path to enjoyment. Then how can you say that he's fulfilling all the desires for enjoyment? Well, he's putting obstacles on the path of enjoyment because that is our constitutional position, which cannot change, that we are dependent on Krishna. So when we declare independence, that is not our constitutional position. So that's Krishna wants to change that. That's why he says there are so many obstacles to make us realize that we cannot control, we are controlled. And then we become like we accept, yes, God is there. And he's not like a master who is like very, cruel and he just wants the servant to serve him. Although he's the master, he will make his devotee the master also. Those who love him, he will make them the master. So he also wants to become servant of his devotee. So that is although his position as master is there always, but he wants to serve those who are in love. Like the father wants to serve the child. The father is superior to the child because he's maintaining the child, everything. But he wants to serve the child. So that's what Krishna is like. So in order to distinguish the personality whom the individual soul must approach, it is described herein that this Purusha, the Supreme Personality of God, is the chief amongst all living entities and is the ultimate form of the impersonal Brahman effulgence and Paramatma manifestation. Since he is the origin of Brahman effulgence and Paramatma manifestation, he is described herewith as the chief personality. It is confirmed in Katha Upanishad. It is Katha, it is Tha because there is a dot beneath the T. Katha Upanishad. Like we have Shvetashvatar Upanishad, Mundak Upanishad. There is Katha Upanishad, Nityo Nityanam. There are many eternal living entities, but he is the chief maintainer. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita also, where Lord Krishna says, Aham Sarvasya Prabhava. Who knows this verse? Aham Sarvasya Prabhava.
Matta sarvam pravartate iti matta bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvita.
And the meaning
It says,
is,
I'm the source of everything, like the whole, all the spiritual and material worlds, but that is everything emanates from him. And iti matta bhaja, those who, those who engage. I think iti,
those who know this.
those who
Those who
know,
are wise engage.
yeah, and in devotional service and worship with all hearts, like that.
The wise who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service.
Yeah, this is so. Yes.
So the wise people are those who know that Krishna is God. And knowing that Krishna is God, they will engage in Krishna's devotional service and worship Krishna with all their hearts. So his activities are transcendental as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Janma karma chame divyam. What is this verse? Janma karma chame divyam.
Yo veti mam yo
You may
veti tatvata taiktva deham panarjanma naiti mam so Arjuna, right?
Mameti so.
Mameti Sarjuna. Janma karma chame divyam evam yo veti tatvata. Yeah, those who know about Krishna in truth, his activities, his birth, then they will not come back after leaving this body. They will attain Krishna. They can't go back to Krishna. And knowing in truth means the same like 10.8. If they don't know, they know Krishna, then they will engage in devotional service. Knowing that this is the best thing they can do with their life. So they will surrender to Krishna. There is no, like, those who are convinced, when they surrender to Krishna, they feel, this is the best thing I will do with my life to engage in Krishna's service. And
I,
that's
I,
uh,
I heard from Devandu Prabhuji, he said that this verse 4:9. So one time Srila Prabhupada asked everyone, what is the most important verse in Bhagavad Gita?
mm,
Um, people said Sarva Dharman Parityaja, and then Srila Prabhupada said no. And then so people came up with different ones, and then he said this one. Janma Karma Cha Me Divyam. Because here Krishna is assuring us
mm,
that if we study Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, we will know the transcendental form and activities of the Lord. And once we know that, He's assuring us that we will go back to the kingdom of the Lord, and we don't have to come back. So this is Krishna's guarantee, and he's not saying this in other verses. This is actually Srila Prabhupada said this is the most important verse, and Srila Prabhupada quotes this so many times, so many times.
yeah, we have that shloka PDF. Let's see how many times he quoted this verse. We have to open that. I mean, devotees have done like a little statistical thing about. So let's go to the. So these are times quoted. Prabhupada in his verses most quoted by Srila Prabhupada. And of course, we have Sarva Dharman quoted many times. Then right below that is 800 plus times Janma Karma Cha Me Divyam. So it is one of the most quoted verses. Of course, Hare Krishna, 400 plus times. Kali Santaran Upanishad. And then, assuming that this analysis is correct, yeah. So this is all the most often quoted verses by Srila Prabhupada are there. We should memorize all these verses. So most of the verses,
Could you share the PDF, Prabhuji? No.
yeah, I can share. See. Dravida Prabhu shared this with me. Let's see where it is.
I think this is available on Google also.
Yeah,
I mean,
now
I'm not 100% sure.
yeah, but I'm going to share it here. Let's see. I will drag and drop. I think it doesn't work. So that's there. You can download it. So we should start with all these verses first. You know all these verses. Since Prabhupada quoted it many times. So. And then this is PDF has all the Mangalacharan and everything. So okay. So now where are we here? So yeah, evam ego vedita. The activities and appearance and disappearance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are transcendental. They are not to be considered material because it is very bewildering. Krishna's activities, he's stealing butter, he's dancing with the gopis, he's stealing gopis' clothes, and his birth is also very mysterious. So one who understands this without knowing, I mean, we have doubts, right? Krishna is how can he do like this, especially his activities. So anyone who knows this fact that the appearance, disappearance, and activities of the Lord are beyond material activities or material conception is liberated. So we can't do what Krishna does because Krishna is God. So we don't have the adhikar to do what Krishna is doing because he is God. Everything belongs to him, not to us. Yo veti tattvataha tyaktva deham punarjanma. Okay, something. Yeah. Such a person, after quitting his body, does not come back again to this material world, but goes to the Supreme Person. It is confirmed here. Purusha Purusham Vrajet. The living entity goes to the Supreme Personality simply by understanding his transcendental nature and activities. That's why Prabhupada said, are you all convinced that Krishna is Supreme Personality of God? He asked like that to his GBC men. Are you all convinced that Krishna is? So that's very...
In 10th chapter also, Krishna has said that, right? One who is factually convinced about his mystic power and his opulence, that person can engage oneself in unalloyed devotion.
That's the verse I shared earlier today, 10.6.
Yeah, that you be with him yogam or something. There is no doubt, right? So conviction is important. Like Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Yeah, we can memorize 10.7 for tomorrow.
Sure, Prabhu.
It's Bhagavad Gita verse. Nice. I mean, it's not so much quoted, but yeah. Okay, so the next verse, 329.37. Rupa Bhedas Padam Divyam Kala iti abhidhiyate Bhutanam Mahadadinam Yato Bhinna Drisham Bhayam. The time factor who causes the transformation of the various material manifestations is another feature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So in impersonal way, time is there, right? Time is like, there is no form of time. But time is energy of the Lord. Kalosmi, Krishna says, time I am, and I have come to destroy the world. Which Oppenheimer, right? He quoted like that. When he...
Yes, Prabhu. Recently I read about him. That Oppenheimer, that is a scientist. Actually, Krishna was telling me about this. I think someone filming him, like recently, there's a movie in Hollywood is coming up. It's based on the Oppenheimer, and I think he has created the nuclear bomb. So he was reading Bhagavad Gita, and that time he was. I just heard that how he went through this journey, and he said that I was reading the Bhagavad Gita, and where Krishna has said that the Kalo is me, like I'm the time and the destroyer, is like that, right? So when he tested that nuclear bomb and he saw the effect, and then he said that, oh, what in Bhagavad Gita Krishna had said, it looks like this. At that time, I think this version is not available, Bhagavad Gita as it is, and he was going to some Sanskrit how to translation and some college he did, and then he tried to understand what in Bhagavad Gita had said, and he was reading, and the person who is acting, he also read the Bhagavad Gita, but he read like this is Bhagavad Gita as it is, and he said that he recommended that in his interview everyone should read this book. It's a very nice book.
What's the movie name, Mata?
I don't know, Mataji, but
Oppenheimer was basically a German physicist. He was in charge of Los Alamos, not nuclear, atomic bomb project, and all based was Einstein's famous equation. So that's why that matter. I am the energy. I am the matter. So matter and energy equivalent.
I think the movie, I don't know the name of the movie, but I think recently it released 2-3 days back.
He was in charge. Oppenheimer was in charge, and after it, USA Kissinger decided to drop on Japan, he was very, very sad. And he a lot of comments he made.
Yeah, there is some video I have, some pop-ups come up on my YouTube, and there was something by Chaitanya Charan Prabhu. He was saying that why he, I can't find that video, but why Oppenheimer quoted Bhagavad Gita. So there was something, yeah. So he must have read the Bhagavad Gita and saw the power of the bomb. So
according to Google, the movie's name is Oppenheimer.
oh, is it? Okay. Yeah.
Say again, Mataji. What did you say?
So on Google, when I searched, I see Oppenheimer is the name of the movie that was released.
Oh, the movie name was Oppenheimer, but he was a German physicist who immigrated to USA, and he was in charge of Los Alamos atomic bomb project. That USA first decided to drop on German, but later decided to drop on Japan.
Okay, so interesting thing is this. Oppenheimer read Bhagavad Gita. Krishna has said that I am the time and destroy everything in the form of time. But still when he, I don't know why he is working on the atomic bomb, like that can destroy the whole world. Even after reading that, he worked on that.
Scientists were directed by the federal government. They didn't have any role to see, as a scientist invention, but they didn't realize. Even Einstein wrote a series of letters to Kissinger that this bomb should not be dropped on any country, but finally USA did because of Pearl Harbor incident. They were angry on Japan. Einstein wrote series of letters that this is because of science invention, and nuclear, maybe in future nuclear power plant, this energy can be used to produce power, not on drop on any country and destroy. But, they are not in hand. If you read Feynman was also there, Los Alamos project. But it is not in their hand. The government was controlling everything because Hitler was making, so it's kind of fight.
In the ancient times, we had Brahmastra, and Srila Prabhupada points out very clearly to Brahmastra only a qualified person could use. And he has to not only know how to release that weapon, but he has to know how to control it and retract it. So today's world, none of these.
Now the bomb is being used in nuclear power. So this is the proper use.
Okay, so yeah, Brahmastra is a targeted nuclear weapon, whereas now the nuclear weapon destroys everybody. Brahmastra is sometimes Prabhupada says like that.
I don't want to go on that phase, Prabhu. Don't Pat. I just want to say this, but still, if Krishna is saying that, but still the people, the conditioned soul, trying to test it, right? How it looks like. Instead of having faith that Krishna has said in Bhagavad Gita, it must be true, right? So when maybe I'm just saying in different aspect. Maybe because when something is tested, it reminds that what Krishna has said in Bhagavad Gita. It could be true, right?
Right. Yeah. So anyway, so everyone is afraid of the activities of time, but a devotee who knows that time factor is another representation or manifestation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead has nothing to fear from the influence of time. The phrase Rupa Bhedas Padam is very significant. By the influence of time, so many forms are changing. For example, when a child is born, his form is small, but in the course of time, that form changes into larger form, the body of a boy, and the body of a young man. Similarly, everything is changed and transformed by the time factor, and then into old person also, and how or by the indirect control of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Prabhupada would often say that, yeah, everybody is vanquished by time, no matter how powerful you are. So this time is also is the energy, the impersonal energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which ultimately takes everything from us. We say it's only a matter of time. So usually we do not see any difference between the body of a child and the body of a boy or young man, because we know that these changes are due to the action of time factor. There is no cause for fear of a person who does not. There is cause for fear for a person who does not know how time acts. Time is very fearful, right? I mean, old age comes with time, death comes with time. So at least we should fear this. But those who know, those who use their life to serve Krishna, they are not afraid of the time factor, because they know after this life we will go back to Krishna or some other destination where Krishna will give us another opportunity. So that verse is there, Ayur Harati Vaipumsam Udayanashta Chayanasho Tasyarthi Yatshano Nita Uttam Shloka Vartaya. That with every rising and setting of the sun, imperceptibly one day of our life is being taken away. Like we are moving closer to death, except if we use our time to Tasyarthi Yat Shano Nita. So Shana means second. Every second we use to serve the Lord, to think about the Lord, to chant His names. Then the sun also fills. Uttam Shloka Vartaya. Uttam Shloka means those verses that glorify the Supreme Lord are Uttam. Or the Lord is glorified in the most choicest of verses. So Uttam Shloka Varta. Varta means topics or stories. You can say Varta is story. But
So isn't that message? Varta is message. Message. Varta.
Varta, yeah. Varta generally is story.
Varta is message. Message.
Yeah,
The
maybe
Abhava Varta.
you can say message.
Information.
Huh?
Information. Abhava Varta. The weather.
Yeah, like in my local language, Gujarati, we say Varta means story. I don't know if in Hindi that Varta means the same thing, but
Textual in different languages. So Varta means speaking, like talking, conversation. Vartala in Hindi.
correct.
So thinking about this word that Srila Prabhupada uses, imperceptible. And basically, in one lecture, he was talking about what imperceptible means. So, like a child a small child is growing, and it's seen, right? Like he was talking in the context of Dehinosmin Yatha Dehe, but basically, the parents don't realize how quickly this child is growing. But if a neighbor or some relative who comes after like 3 months and sees the child, is like, oh my God, the child has grown so much. So it's interesting how we don't realize that with every rising and setting of the sun, our lifespan is being reduced every single day. It's imperceptible. It's kind of very interesting that. Sometimes, and that's why we don't see ourselves, and someone else has to tell us. So Srila Prabhupada gives this example of when we write something, we can see the mistakes there. So that's why we have to have an editorial team who goes through what we write, and they will make corrections, because we won't see. We are not able to see it. So that's the role of a guru. That's the role of Vaishnavas, devotee association.
Yeah. To make us see what we can't see. So that is the guru will tell us how the body is changing and how we are going to our next life, and we can't see all that. Shastra is telling. That also reminds me of this verse in the third canto, which we'll come to in the next chapter. Kapila uvacha tasye tasya jano nunam nayam veduro vikramam kalyamano pibalino vayur eva ganavali. The personality of God, it said, as a mass of clouds does not know the powerful influence of wind, a person engaged in material consciousness does not know the powerful strength of time factor by which he is being carried. So he is so much absorbed in material consciousness that he cannot perceive the presence of time factor, how his life is coming to a close. Just as clouds are carried by the wind, they are in one place, and next time you see in the sky, they are not there. The cloud is not there, it's gone somewhere. Similarly, this is kind of an analogy. So, and the purport is very nice. The great politician Pandit named Chanakya said that even one moment of time cannot be returned, even if one is prepared to make billions of dollars. So our time is limited in this world. One cannot calculate the amount of loss there is investing valuable time, either materially or spiritually. One should be very alert in utilizing the time which he has at his disposal. A conditioned soul lives in a particular body for a fixed measurement of time. So our expiry date is there. For everybody, expiry date is labeled on the bottle, on the body, on the forehead. And it is recommended in the scriptures that within the small measurement of time, within that small measurement of time, one has to finish Krishna consciousness and thus gain release from the influence of time factor. So Prabhupada always says small measurement of time. We think it's 70, 80 years. It's a long time, but Prabhupada always puts it in perspective. That also we can't see that how our life of few decades is just a flash. So in that small measurement of time, one has to finish Krishna consciousness. Means you have to change your consciousness and be completely. But unfortunately, those who are not in Krishna conscious are carried away by the strong power of time without their knowledge, and its clouds are carried by the wind. So many years have gone by in our life. Some time is left. Don't know how much. Astrologers can probably tell you. But
Thanks, Krishna.
There is a saying, right? Time and tide waits for none. So that reminds me, the verse from 11th canto, I guess, in where it says that, I think that verse starts with Ahoratris Chidyamanam, something like that. I don't remember that one. But there it says that like knowing that one's duration of life is, by passing days and night, it similarly is cutting down. So one should be shaken by fear, because my time is, as you said that way, time is short and it's going away. So if we know that our time is going on, and so how we can use our time in this world. And that really makes, when we're shaken by the fear, it brings like a detachment. And with that, okay, I have very short time, and whatever the passing time I spent, it cannot bring it back. That's why he says that, right? Even the devotees must weigh or check the every moment, whether this moment has spent without Krishna consciousness or in Krishna consciousness. The verse was like that, avyartha kalatvam, right? That's how, that is a test of the in advanced devotee in Krishna consciousness, where Rupa Goswami says that whether my time has been used like just spent uselessly or not. So one should be very alert that how my time has been used, and just talking nonsense or talking about Krishna. One time I was hearing one video where Gaur Gopal Das Prabhu was saying that the devotees are a great businessman. They know that when you do some business or you are investing something, then you want a result, you want some benefit, a return. But in the material world, in our time and energy and everything we uselessly spent, but we can get, I mean, there is nothing eternal benefit. But the devotees, they spend their time, energy in Krishna consciousness, and they're chanting and hearing about Krishna. That will create like a uh, eternal credit. And whatever you have in this material world, anyhow we have to leave it here. Whether money, relationship, wealth, comfort, everything. But in the what will we get after that? So devotees are considered as a wise and great businessman. They are not working for this, and even those who are practicing Krishna consciousness, they be happy in this world, and they make a spiritual credit. And as S.B. Keshav Swami was saying, that they are making a eternal home in the spiritual world. So yes. And I get it, that point from Mataji was saying that the time is passing. Today's Mukund's birthday, and he is 5 years old now. And we had Kirtan yesterday, and the Prabhuji was talking about that now he is entering in the Kaumar age. So we should be very, awakening that now this is an age that you have to. We also have to, as a parent, be careful that now he's entering in other phase, and now he's very serious about the spirituality. As he was talking about, the Prahlad Maharaj was saying that. So, and I was realizing that how the like 5 years like flew away. I don't even realize, by doing all the responsibilities and all these things, I don't even realize that how now he's 5 years old guy. So yeah, time is flying. It's we don't even realize that, as you said, like a cloud is carried away by wind. Um, and yeah, that's scary.
Thank you. Anything else? I think Ishwari Priya Mata, you wanted to say something.
Oh, actually, I forgot what I wanted to say. Sorry.
Sorry, Mataji. I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay.
No worries. I was kind of listening to what you were saying. I lost my train of thought. Sorry.
Okay, so we'll read one more verse till 8:30. Yuanta pravishya bhutani bhuterati akhilashrayah sa vishnu akyo adhiyagnoso kala kalayatam prabhu. So 10.7 we'll memorize for tomorrow, Bhagavad Gita. So if you want to. Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the enjoyer of all sacrifices, is the time factor and the master of all masters. He enters everyone's heart and is the support of everyone, and he causes every being to be annihilated by another. Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is clearly described in this passage. He is the supreme enjoyer, and all others are working as his servants. As stated in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Ekale Ishwar, Krishna Arsa Britya. Only Supreme Lord is Vishnu, Arsa Britya. All others are his servants. Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and other demigods are all servants. So everybody is servant. So nobody is higher. Everybody is servant of God. The same Vishnu enters everyone's heart as Paramatma, and he causes the annihilation of every being through another being. It sounds like somebody is murdering somebody else, like or throwing bomb, and causes the annihilation of every being through another being. But that may be also another being, maybe the Supreme Lord also. No one, so next verse, na chasya kasyid daito, na dveshyo na cha bandhava, avishatya apramatto, so pramatam janam antakrit. No one is dear to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, nor is anyone his enemy or friend. But he gives inspiration to those who have not forgotten him, and destroys those who have. After saying that he is not anybody's enemy or friend, then the next statement says no, but he gives inspiration to those who remember him, and he destroys those who forget him. So, forgetfulness of one's relationship with Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of God, is the cause of one's repeated birth and death. So, forgetting our relationship with God is the cause of our transmigration. A living entity is as eternal as the Supreme Lord, but due to his forgetfulness, he is put into this material nature and transmigrates from one body to another. And when the body is destroyed, he thinks that he is also destroyed. Actually, this forgetfulness of his relationship with the Lord Vishnu is the cause of his destruction. Anyone who revives his consciousness of original relationship receives inspiration from the Lord. This does not mean that the Lord is someone's enemy and someone else's friend. He helps everyone. One who is not bewildered by the influence of material energy is saved, and one who is bewildered is destroyed. It is said, therefore, Harim Vina na mritim taranti. No one can be saved from the repetition of birth and death without the help of the Supreme Lord. It is therefore the duty of all living entities to take shelter of the lotus feet of Vishnu and thus save themselves from the cycle of birth and death. Okay, so we are destroyed. I mean, the soul cannot be destroyed, but destroyed means, like in that verse, Trividham narakasyedyam dvaram nashnam atmana kama krodha tatha lopas tasmadita. The Atma cannot be destroyed, but it is destroyed. Nashanam Atmana. But that means it becomes degraded by lust, anger, and greed. So, in the same way, we are not destroyed at any time, but our consciousness is degraded. If we become bewildered by Maya, then we go through so many difficult situations and so many bodies. It's material existence. Somebody sent that video, right? I don't know if it's true or not, that monkey is sitting with the baby, and there are crocodiles and there are tigers who are, it seems like a not a real video, but somebody saw that on the WhatsApp. I don't know.
Yes, Prabhu. I think Shama Karuna Mataji has sent.
Yeah. It's a very scary video, right? The crocodiles are like,
Yeah.
the monkey is sitting with the baby. But that is how fearful in animal life, it's such a fearful situation. In the jungle with all these wild animals, and sometimes you see hyenas, they go and attack one deer and they just eat it up alive. Like somebody's chewing on the leg, somebody's chewing on the throat, somebody's chewing on the belly, and they're just like plucking out with their sharp teeth all the flesh. So that's what the living entity has gone through. All this, the fear. I mean, can you imagine how the fear is in that animal? So we have been through all that situation. So it's time to take shelter of the Lord.
So Srila Prabhupada says that if we are the son of a very rich father, then we have no need to worry, or rather look for something else. But despite us being the children of the most opulent father, Aishwaryascha Samagrashcha, like Bhavan he's full of all opulences. And yet we have, like, leaving the shelter of that father, we are like literally wandering like homeless people on the streets. And we've chosen that.
Yeah. Correct. Yeah. So Prabhupada, he built a house in which the whole world can live. That's how everybody can go to a temple, take shelter of a temple and stay. Of course, I don't know, every temple can, but many places devotees can stay. So this is, we take shelter, or in our home we take shelter of the Lord. So the Lord is willing to give us all help, but we have chosen to neglect and do our independent thing. So we are loitering now, homeless. So he's called Anatha Bandhu. There was one devotee, his name was Anatha Bandhu. So he's the friend of the orphan, like that. Dina Bandhu, Anatha Bandhu. Of course, our relationship can never go, but we have chosen to neglect that relationship. That's the only thing. So we have to now revive that relationship with the Lord. Okay. And we don't see the Lord, so how can we revive our relationship? So we see the hand of God in our life. And through incidents that happen in our life, we see the hand of God. This way we can perceive the Lord. Sometimes people say, right, if you have to have a relationship, you should see the person, right? How can you have a relationship without seeing the person? And I can have a relationship with my friend because my friend will come to my home and then I will talk with him and he will talk to me. So then you can have relation, but how you can, so that's why relationship with the devotees of the Lord first. We know the Lord, like today Prabhupada said that we cannot approach Krishna directly. Let me read this and then we'll end. Don't try to approach Krishna directly, he was saying. In an office, you cannot contact the proprietor directly. There are subordinate officers. Through them, you have to take the proprietor's help. The office master is there. You have to satisfy the office master. You cannot directly approach the proprietor. So office master is there and then the proprietor is there. If you satisfy the office master, then your promotion and other things is all right. I've got practical experience. One of my friend, he was working in office. So the proprietor was there and many of other employees were there. So my friend, he suggested something to the proprietor and the proprietor immediately dismissed him. Oh, this man want to suggest me, dismiss immediately. Give him his pay. He will go away. In that way, I've got practical experience. He later on became so sorry. So we should not try to approach directly Krishna. That is not good idea. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Gopi bhartu padakamalayur, dasa dasa nudas. So through the devotees, we can get realization of Krishna. Of course, Krishna is loving Father, so we can also approach directly. But to understand Krishna and like that, we have to approach him through the devotees. Like before we came in contact with Prabhupada's books and everything, and the society and all the devotees, we had some understanding of Krishna being in India, but it was not like very proper and nice. And our inspiration to do devotional service was not also strong, and so many things were there. Now we have anartha, we recognize this is my anartha. Before you have anartha, you don't even know that's an anartha. So this is all the blessing and mercy of Srila Prabhupada and his devotees, and
Can I say something very quickly, Prabhu, on that part? So as you said that we can see the Lord. So I was thinking that if you want to see something which is nearby, like a microbes and that, then we need a microscope, right? We need a microscope. We can see through our naked eyes. And if you want to see something which is in the sky, which is very far, we need a telescope in this material world also. So Krishna says that he is a small than smallest and large than largest. So we don't have that qualification. We don't have that eyes. That's why I say that, right, in the Guru Mantra, right? Om Agyana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. So that's why we need a spiritual master. As you said, that the devotees and spiritual master that can open the eyes which is already covered by the darkness of ignorance. Even in this material world, there are many, many things which we cannot see. Can you see the virus and bacteria and protozoa and everything through their eyes? No, we can see, because we want to make our eyes which can qualify to see that thing. We can see the stars and these things. Like, of course, we can see stars, like, which is very far, but magnifying that one, we need telescope. So we need qualified, and we need that eyes to can see, and that only come from our spiritual master devotee association, by reading, by hearing about knowing God. What he had said, by doing the devotional process, we can feel the presence of the Lord. and then we can, of course, when we do more sadhana, then we can be able to see that, right?
Correct. Yeah, purity of heart is the qualification to see, and the acharyas, they give us the process by which we can become pure, and when we become pure in our heart, then we can see things. Otherwise, Duryodhana was also seeing Krishna, but he was not seeing Krishna as how Krishna is. So, yes, that's the acharyas, they make the process and the everything clear to us. And without that, yeah. Okay, so we want to stop there. Thank you very much. We'll continue.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.